Let me tell you a story of today. Imagine a bird, a female bird with soft, fluffy feathers in many bright and pretty colors. She has very delicate feet, and her beak is small and fragile. We can call her the sunbird. Now, every autumn, this little bird flies south with all of her brothers and sisters, her friends, and her family. All the birds of her kind meet at the very top of the highest tree in the forest. It's amazing to see because all the birds form a single design in the sky. They seem to fly and soar and turn in perfect harmony. Sometimes it's like a ballet in the sky. They move together as if they had one idea and one spirit. Now our little bird is perched on a branch in the chestnut tree. She watches the others while the soft autumn winds blow through her tender feathers. She thinks to herself, "It's time for me to fly high in the sky and go south with all the others to where the sun is warm, because here it will soon be winter." Now, I don't know what winter is because every year I fly south with all the other birds. I don't know why, but this year something inside me tells me to stay. I've spent so many beautiful springs and so many warm summers here. I don't want to leave. I want to see the winter, whatever that is. So the little bird watches the others flock together like a vast army in the sky and flies south by the hundreds. She sits on her branch, dazed by her decision to stay. One morning, several days later, she wakes up and sees that the forest is all white. This must be what is called snow, she thinks. The air is cold. She stretches her wings and flies from her branch and lands on the ground. The snow is so cold that it burns her little feet. Now she's frightened. She tries again and again to land on the ground, but it's hopeless. Oh, how will I feed myself? How will I find worms? How will I live in this cold, cold forest all winter, she thinks. She flies from branch to branch. Maybe she looks for berries or buds on the trees, but there aren't any. Even the leaves have fallen from the trees and they're covered with snow. The winds blow stronger and colder. She looks for shelter in a bush or in a tree, but she's so cold, so hungry, and so tired. Her feathers are too thin for the winter in the cold forest. She is a sunbird from the south. So our little bird huddles in a bush, shivering from the cold, and gives up. She falls into a deep sleep. And now another bird appears in our story. He's a big black and white bird with an orange beak and very curious eyes. He looks quite serious and interested in everything around him. He has strong padded feet so he can walk in the snow, and a strong beak so that he can peck at the earth and find food. His feathers are thick and ready for winter. Let's call him the snowbird. Now for our snowbird, winter's a pleasant time. He can stroll in the forest and play in the trees. Now when he sees our little female bird freezing from the cold and dying from hunger, he feels sorry for her. So off he flies to find worms and roots to nourish her. Every day he visits her to bring her food and to warm her under his wings. Days go by, even weeks go by, and the big black and white bird with his orange beak comes every day to take care of the little sunbird. Yes, he saves her from the cold winter and brings her back to life. And she trusts this big black and white bird. He's become her very best friend. And every day she waits for him. Oh, she feels so happy when she sees him flying towards her. And by the end of winter, they've become very close. You might say it's like what people call being in love. Well, spring has come again, and our two little birds decide that they will never leave each other. They will build a nest and make a home together. Maybe they'll have lots of babies. And they'll be as happy as two birds can be. They will sing the most beautiful music they know to each other, and they will spend all 4 seasons side by side. So they fly in the sky, a sky that is blue and full of sunshine, and they flutter their wings and soar through the sky. Oh, they're so happy. They start out to look for a place to make their nest, a place to make their home. So they take off, chirping away and full of hope. And finally they come to a river surrounded by poplar trees. And they think, what a perfect place to build our home. High in the poplar trees where the air is fresh and clear, and we can drink and bathe in the river. Oh, there are many plants and insects down by the river, and surely lots of worms. Oh, this is a wonderful place to start our family. So they start to build their nest when suddenly a flock of crows comes charging at them. The crows who live in the trees by the river are angry at these intruders, this strange couple, a little bird of many colors, and a big black and white bird with an orange beak. Well, I suppose they are a strange sight to see. As strange as a couple of people dressed in many different bright colors, looking very different from everyone else. Well, the crows attack, claw and peck at them, and finally chase them from the river and the poplar trees. So they move on, confused and disappointed, until they come to some wheat fields. This could be a fine place to build our nest, they think. It's close to the ground. It would be easy to find worms here, and our little ones can learn to fly in the fields. But just as they're about to start their nest, a flock of tiny birds with very pointy beaks come charging at them. It's their territory, and they won't share it. So they travel on until they come to some cornfields. Oh, let's build a nest here, they think, between the rows of corn. No one will see us here, and no one will bother us. And corn seeds are good food. The wind and the corn stalks will cover our sounds and our scents, so the hunters and foxes won't find us here. But suddenly a flock of partridges charge at them, because they want to keep the cornfields for themselves. Once again, the sunbird and the snowbird must leave. They travel on, but every time they try to build a nest in a park, in a schoolyard, in a wood, or in a garden, they're chased by other birds. They even try to build their nest in an airport. How could they know what an airport is? They see big airplanes that make loud noises. They think, these big birds won't bother us. We're too small to annoy them. So they search for twigs and grass to make their nest. But of course, birds are very dangerous in airports. So once again they're chased. Now our 2 feathered friends fly higher and higher and farther, feeling sad and disappointed. But they come to a place, a very strange place. They see something they've never seen before. They see gigantic buildings in cement and glass. These buildings are skyscrapers, and they really look as though they touch the sky. Some of them have 80 floors, or maybe even 90, 100 floors. This is Manhattan. So they decide to fly over the top of these skyscrapers. And what do they see? On the top of the highest building, they see that the roof is covered with earth. And they think, no one will notice us here. No one will see us, and no one will chase us. This is a perfect place to make our home. Here we can bring our own seeds and plants and make our nest here. So they fly off and they find many parks and gardens in and around Manhattan. And they bring back seeds and roots to the skyscraper. And in a way, they do what Noah did in his ark. They bring as many different kinds of plants as they can find to the top of the building. They find dandelions, poppies, and buttercups. Buttercups are little yellow flowers that you can put under your chin to see if you like butter. They plant pansies and daisies, lilies of the valley, and creeping ivy, which is the symbol of faithfulness. And they plant honeysuckles. They smell so good. And they find tomato plants from the gardens around Manhattan, and onions and corn. They even plant orange pits. Maybe someday they'll have an orange tree on the roof. They find radishes, lemon seeds, clover, and jasmine. And very quickly the plants and flowers begin to grow. The wind and the sun and the rain are a great help. The winds bring many grains and pollens from far away. And even some exotic flowers and fruits grow on what has become a huge garden. Now you might say that on top of the highest skyscraper in Manhattan, there is a real paradise. And the big black and white snowbird and the little bright-colored sunbird are very happy in their paradise. When they have many children, some of them look like their mother, and some look like their father. Now many other birds of many different kinds come to join them. Some because they're lost, some because they're lonely, and some because they like the paradise they made. And since they're not selfish like the birds who chased them away, they invite them to stay. Of course, they must follow the rules made by the snowbird and the sunbird. Now, it's very important that I explain that in this skyscraper where the birds have made their paradise is a company that makes chemicals and things that kill weeds and insects, and therefore many birds go hungry. There isn't very much earth on top of the skyscraper where they are, so the roots begin to work their way into the cement. By the time the building realizes what's happening, it's too late. The walls are cracking, the windows are breaking, and the building is completely invaded by the plants. The foliage grows wild and covers floor after floor until it touches the ground. It's a kind of victory for nature, I suppose. A victory over the madness of men who have tried to turn our planet into a planet of cement. And the birds did this. Not on purpose, of course. They were only trying to make their paradise on earth. And now they're living in complete happiness in their paradise. But if you go to see them, please don't make too much noise, because that may disturb them.